Finding the end portal room in a stronghold can be a difficult, time-consuming, and soul-crushing process, but there are ways to easily find this room in no time at all. So, the current strategy used by some speedrunners involves using the F3 pie chart screen and then setting your FOV to 30 and your render distance to 8 chunks and your entity distance to 50%, and then calibrating things to your specific hardware and refreshing the F3 screen and looking for certain values as new areas are loaded to find the direction of the silverfish spawner. But I've got a much easier method intended for the casual player, using some basic concepts from computer science, a few stacks of blocks, and your brain. Don't worry, it's really quite simple. Okay, so first you need to find the entry stairway, which is the only staircase in the structure that goes upwards to nowhere, and there are two ways of doing this. The first way is by navigating directly to the chunk containing said staircase by throwing Eyes of Ender, which point not to the end portal room, but to this staircase. Now, the process of triangulation is complicated enough that it's an entire video in its own right, and I've linked a few in the description if you want more information. For the sake of brevity, we're going to go straight to the part where you know what chunk the staircase is in, and from there you can dig down at block location 4x4 in the chunk, which you can see by opening the F3 screen and looking here, which will take you directly to the middle of the staircase. If you want a softer landing, you can dig down at 3x3 in the chunk, which will take you to the top step. If you don't want to go to the effort of getting a precise triangulation, you can simply find the rough location of your stronghold, dig around a bit until you find it, and from there, we'll use some tricks to find the staircase. Now, all the doors in the stronghold generate relative to this staircase. If the door is flush with its surrounding blocks, like this one here, it's pointing away from the staircase. If the door is inset with the blocks, like this, it goes towards it. Other types of staircases generally go down when they're going away from the staircase, and up when they're going towards it. The exception is these sorts of stairs right here, which, as you can see, go up. So just keep all of that in mind as you navigate through the stronghold, and you should find your way to the entry staircase easily enough. Once you're there, we're going to use a few different strategies to choose how we navigate and how we keep track of where we've been. So the first thing you need to understand is that the stronghold is made up of separate rooms, which are organized in a structure called a tree. Now, trees are a common way of organizing data in computer science, and while other videos tend to show an actual tree to illustrate this concept, because Minecraft was clearly designed by programmers, I want to show you how programmers represent this data structure. So this is your basic tree. Each of these circles is called a node, and they each contain a single piece of data. The top node is called the root node, and every node can be reached from the root node. A tree that you're probably very familiar with is your file structure on your computer. So my computer would be the root node, and then any folders beneath that are the children of that node, and then any folders beneath are that child's children, and so on. So this is what it looks like when the stronghold is represented as a tree. You've got the entry stairway as the root node, then all of the other interconnected rooms branching off of that. Now, there are two main strategies for searching for an item in a tree: depth first search and breadth first search. So say that we are looking for the portal room in this tree. So if we are going to use breadth first search, we are going to start at the root node, and then we are going to go to each leftmost child and check and see if we found what we're looking for. If not, then we go to the next leftmost child. If it's not it, back up to the next leftmost, up, and then to the next, checking at every step of the way if we have found what we're looking for. Now, if we didn't find it at that level, we go back to the next parent node, and then we go to the leftmost child node, and then we go to their leftmost child node, and we start repeating that process. And then if it's not it, we have to go all the way back up to the next child node that has not been explored, like so, and we just keep traversing the entire tree just like that. As you can see, this is a rather arduous process that involves in a whole lot of repeated movements, but you will reach the destination eventually. Now, the other method is called depth first search. So with depth first search, you go to the leftmost child of a parent node, checking along the way to see if you have found what you're looking for, all the way to the edge of a branch. And then once you have exhausted that entire route, you go up to the first parent that has another unexplored child, and then you pick the leftmost child, check that, nope, check that, and then go all the way back up, and you pretty much just repeat that process until you find what you are looking for. Now, I think this one is so much easier to remember and execute compared to breadth first search. So, with that in mind, my strategy for navigating the stronghold is a hybrid of depth first and breadth first search. So, Matthew Boland discovered that the portal room is a minimum of 6 rooms away from the entry staircase, and that the probability of finding this room decreases as you go further away. So, my strategy is basically do depth first search, but only up until you're 10 rooms deep. So like this, basically. And then, if you still haven't found the portal room, go back to the leftmost node that hasn't been completely explored, then explore everything using the same method. Also, if you've gone to the end of a branch, keep track so you don't go back down later. But why 10 rooms? So, if you only go 6 rooms deep along every possible branch, there's only a 38.67% chance you'll find the portal. If you go 7 rooms deep, there's now a 62.39% chance, and if you go 10 rooms deep, there is a 91.95% chance. Plus, oftentimes, the 10th room will have a view of surrounding rooms, so you'll be able to see rooms 11 and maybe 12 in one or more directions, so that covers an even higher percentage. Of course, you can always do more or less depth as you like. I just found in my testing that 10 rooms was a very safe and reliable amount. Okay, if this all sounds kind of confusing, we're going to actually do this in a new stronghold, and it'll make more sense. But first, if we want to accurately count the number of rooms we visited, it is essential to understand what constitutes a room in a stronghold. So the easiest way to demonstrate this is using the mini HUD mod, which will show you the bounding box of and the bounding boxes within structures. So each of these boxes here actually represents a different room in the stronghold. Now, we can learn a lot just by looking at this, and I've also actually decompiled the code and spent some time looking at it, so let's get into what all of the different room types are. So I would say the most important thing to understand is what actually constitutes a door, because doors always represent the entrance to a new room. So there are 4 different types of doors, all of them measuring 3 by 3. First off, this is called an opening here. It's just a big 3 by 3 empty space. Next, we have the wooden door. And then we have the grates, that's what this is called. And then last, we have the iron door. So we can use the mini HUD mod to illustrate where these rooms begin and end with the doorways. So this is the starter staircase, and this room begins once you go through the iron grates, and then this room begins with the opening right here, and then again, iron grates are the start of this room here, and then this door is the start of the next room, and so on. Alright, now more on the different types of rooms. Oh, hello. So this type of room is called a 5 crossing because there should be 5 rooms branching off of it, including the entrance here, and this is generally the first thing that generates outside of the starter staircase. So an important thing to note is that these rooms should have 5 rooms coming off of them. So if you're looking around and you only see 1, 2, 3, 4, that means there's probably a secret room. So the rooms will generate in the bottom corners as well as the top corners. So if you see a section like this, where there's kind of like a plain wall without like the stone bricks, that means that this is not the secret door, and in this example, these are just here because the secret room generated kind of into the wall, so just ignore that. But if we come up here, we know that this is the only place remaining, so if we break through here, we can see there's a secret room back here. So it actually is important to check for these secret rooms because sometimes the portal room actually can generate behind them. While we are in here, so this is called a prison corridor. So the prison corridor begins 2 blocks away from the door to the first cell, which we can see because this is a grates entryway, and it ends 2 blocks away from the second door, which we can see because this is also a a doorway. Now, if we go through here, this room is called a turn, and this room here is also called a turn. So there are right turns and left turns, but you don't really need to remember that. So turns always measure 5 by 5, including the wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how you know this is where this room ends. And then this one should also be 5 by 5. So a common mistake that I see people make is assuming that a section like this is one room when it is in fact two. So this here is another example of a turn. So this doorway would be the entrance, and then this here marks the entry into a different room. Okay, so this room here is called a straight, I believe. So these are always 7 deep and 5 across, and they can have up to 3 other rooms coming off of the sides, just like that. So this here is another example of a straight. It is 7 long and then 5 across, including this wall here. And it's got 2 other rooms coming off of it, but of course they don't always have to go anywhere. And this one here is also a straight. So this is called a chest corridor with the little chest thingy in the middle. Now the corridor extends 3 blocks out from the chest in both of these directions. So this door is actually part of the room, and this door here, hello, is the entrance to a new room. So a common mistake I see in counting rooms is assuming that all of this would be one room, but remember the chest corridor only extends 3 blocks out, and sometimes the entryway to a room can be a plain opening. So this is actually 2 rooms, and this here is your standard turn. Next we have what's called the room crossing, aka the 4x4. So there are actually 4 different types of this sort of room, but they all measure 11 by 11 and are slightly taller than the standard corridors. So these rooms, as their name implies, have 4 different entryways coming off of them. So this is the first type of room crossing. It is quite simply empty. If we go through here, we can see the second type. It simply has this little torch pillar in the middle. There's also the variant with the fountain, as well as this really interesting chest wooden platform thingy. So these are where the bounding boxes are for these sorts of rooms. So as you can see, there is 1 inset block, and then the doorway begins 1 more block over. So it's the same for this kind of room here, inset block, and then doorway, just like that. So this room is called Straight Stairs Down, and it is exactly what the name implies. The room begins here. This would be the doorway, and then if we go down here, there is 1 block, and then there is the doorway to the next room, in this case a turn. Now sometimes you get really odd generation like this. So I think these are called filler corridors, and these just kind of happen maybe to connect a certain room to another room. So the way that you can know these are there is you can tell this is your standard turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's just an odd number here, so if you're not using mini-HUD, you can kind of predict there's something weird here, so these must be filler corridors. So this room is called Stairs Down, so it begins on the first block here, and then it ends on the block on the bottom, and then the next room would begin here. And finally we have libraries. So as far as I can tell, libraries seem to be end nodes, which means there wouldn't be any rooms on the other side of them. So if you find a library, you don't have to go in it, you can just turn around. Now, you don't have to be like super accurate with your room counting if you're just doing like some casual kind of play, but it can certainly help ease some of the frustration if you're not finding your portal room by getting the room counting accurate. Okay, now let's actually do a walkthrough of this method, and to make things more interesting, let's do it in survival mode. Okay, so we're gonna need maybe 2 stacks of netherrack and a stack of dirt. So every time we go into a new room we haven't been in yet, we are going to mark that with a piece of netherrack. And when we get to the end of a path, we are going to mark that with dirt so that we know, if we go 10 rooms deep and we still haven't found the portal room, then we know we don't have to explore that path again. Also, you can use any kinds of blocks you like. It doesn't have to just be netherrack and dirt. I just chose these because they stand out in a stronghold and they're easy to get large quantities of in the early game, and you're unlikely to miss them when you use all of them up. Okay, let's go. Alright, so this is room number 1. Alright, so there might be a secret room here. Okay. So this is a filler hallway or a straight. This is room number 2. Okay, so another straight. This is room number 3. Okay, now this is room number 4. Okay, now I like to put the netherrack on the left side when I'm going away from the starter staircase. That way, if I get disoriented, I can easily figure out, okay, this is going away, and if it's on the right, this is going towards. Okay, so we have a library. Let's just go back. Okay, 3. Alright, so this room is 4, another library. 5. Okay, this is 5, it's dead ends, just... Okay, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we have a loop here, so this is 10, but it's the end anyway. Okay, so let's just mark this. That is fully explored. What number were we on? Okay, this is a prison corridor. This is 7. Okay, this is 8. This is 9. Oh. And this room is 10, so we're not going to go any further than this. 10. Okay, this is also 10. And we go back. Okay, this shouldn't be a secret room. This should come in from elsewhere. Okay. Okay, so this is 3, and then this is a straight. This is 4. And this is some weird filler corridor. I think it should start over here. Okay, chest corridor. This is 5. I think that was 6, and this is 7, and then this would be 8, 9, and we're in a loop. Okay, so that's been fully explored. What number were we on? So this is a straight, so this should be 6. Okay, another straight, so this is 7. A turn, this is 8. And 9. And 10. And okay, this is fully explored. Okay, so we mark that so we don't have to come back. So this was 4. This is 5. Okay. So this route through here is all fully explored, so let's not go through there. Okay, 2. So this is 1. Okay, let's take this one. Turn, so this is 2. Straight, this is 3. Turn, this is 4. Stairs, this is 5. Turn 6. Turn 7. Okay, this is 8. 9. And 10, so we go back. Okay, so this is 4, 3. Okay, prison corridor, this is 4. Turn, this is 5. Another turn, this is 6. Okay, so this is fully explored. One, and then there That's not actually a secret room, it just kind of goes through. Okay, so this would be 2, 3, and this is 4. Okay. So these kinds of rooms don't always have secret rooms when they're kind of at the end of a line. It's more like they can have up to. Okay, so we went through there, didn't we? Yeah, that was the prison corridor over there. Okay, so this probably does. Yeah, okay. Okay, but we're gonna go through here first. Okay, so this is 5. And this is 6. 7, 8, and dead end. Okay, so nothing down there. Alright, so let's go through here. So this is 4. And then, oh, I see it. Okay, so this is 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we found it. Amazing. Oh. Wow, so I think that was actually the fastest and the most pain-free journey to the portal room I've ever had, and also the only time that I didn't actually have to go into spectator mode to make it here. Now, of course, if we hadn't have managed to find this room, we would have to backtrack and look for the routes that we had not explored completely yet, and just continue down those paths until we had exhausted all of them. However, during my testing, I never failed to find the portal room in less than 10 steps. Now, for the sake of simplicity, I just showed taking the leftmost path on every single occasion, but I think that a hybrid approach might be a little bit faster, so you could potentially take the leftmost and then take the rightmost and then start working inwards, or you could also just go right every single time. You know, it doesn't have to just be left, so you could try mixing things up a little bit. Now, if we'd done a hybrid approach, we would have found the portal room much faster, and of course, it's also good practice to just, you know, like look around in a room and see if you can see anything before you take other paths, and we would have found it much faster. I just kind of wanted to demonstrate like how this works, but yeah. In any case, if you found this video useful and you think it deserves a rating, that would be much appreciated. Goodbye!